Hi everyone, and welcome back to The Spiritual Businesswoman. I'm your host, Sky Kristen, and I am so excited to be back. I know I don't need to explain myself, but I just want to apologize for not having an episode go out last week. I had my wisdom teeth taken out, all 4 of them, so as you can imagine, there was no talking, there was no doing anything. I was bedridden for like 4 days. I'm still kind of healing. The pain is gone, but it'll just randomly come back throughout the day so aggressively where like I feel like I need to take a painkiller, but I'm trying not to. Trying to stay away from those. I know they're bad for you. But yeah, one more thing I want to say about this. If you need to get your wisdom teeth removed, if you have it booked, if you need to do it in the future, I don't care if they tell you that your teeth aren't that impacted and that it'll be an easy surgery and you could just deal with the freezing and the laughing gas and you'll be fine. Don't listen to them. I wish I did not listen to them because it's not even about the pain. Listen, if you're awake during the surgery, you don't feel anything. I don't want to scare you and make it this like painful thing. The pain is like fine. It's just a lot of pressure. It's the memory. Like I am now dealing with the memory of having 4 teeth ripped out of my skull, and it haunts me at night. So even though I'm healed and everything is, better, not dealing with much pain, I lay awake at night just remembering them literally yanking my head back and forth, like holding my jaw and just ripping teeth out of my face, and it's not a nice memory. It's not a nice memory to have. So it's not even about the pain. I have a high pain tolerance. It's the memory, the trauma. I recommend you just go to sleep for the procedure. Everyone I talk to, they're like, oh, I just passed out and then I woke up and it was done. And I'm like, I wish. But anyways, moving on. What else? There's a couple things I want to talk about before we get into it. I also just want to say thank you for the support on last week's episode and this whole rebrand and everything. And to everyone who reached out to me saying that they literally felt like I was speaking to them and it was exactly what they needed to hear. That is just such a deep confirmation to me, but also it honestly just goes to show how connected we all are. Like whatever it is that I'm going through, if you relate with me, if you found this podcast or my YouTube channel or whatever it is, you resonate with me, there's a really good chance that we are going through similar things. We're all one consciousness, and it's made me realize I don't really have to put much like crazy effort and thought into these episodes. I truly just need to speak on what is happening right now, what I'm going through right now, because odds are so are you, so are many people, and those people will find me. And yeah, it just creates this like feeling of community and knowing that whatever I'm going through, other people are also going through, and allowing myself to go through it and to come out of things and to come to this podcast and give my advice and to know that that's helping people. Like it's also helping me. So many of the things that I speak on are helping me, helping younger versions of me. And yeah, it just makes me feel good that I can also do that for you too. So thank you so much for the support. I'm so happy you guys are liking it. And as for this episode, I have sat down to record this episode 3 times. I think only twice I actually like had the camera mic going and I was actually not halfway through. I think both times I stopped around 20 minutes and it just wasn't happening. It wasn't working. I wasn't happy with the way that I was speaking. I didn't feel like I was relaying the message the way I wanted to. It was so frustrating because even just taking the time out of my day to sit down and record something like this, it takes a long time. And when I was going through it and feeling like I wasn't happy with the way the episode was going, but trying to like continually force it, I was only making things worse. But everything happens for a reason, and it's so crazy. Life is so cyclical, like the way we go through things, because I wrote this episode and I've learned a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you guys, but this is the thing, like we're constantly learning. It's constantly happening to us, and that's why the more we can like recognize this and have new ways of thinking, creating new habits, new mindsets, it just allows us to constantly come back to certain truths. So, a little intro for today before we jump into it. Today's episode, I think, is going to be called How to Stop Planning for Your Desired Future and Start Living It Now. So this isn't really going to be about like specifically how to plan your future or, writing things down, more of that masculine energy. I'm definitely going to jump into it and maybe jump into some mistakes that you are making that I know that I was making. But this is really going to benefit you if you are someone that does plan, that is planning, that has the Pinterest board, that is constantly writing out this desired future that you want, and you know what you want, you have a pretty clear vision, but this constant planning is in a way ripping you from your life right now. You're constantly thinking of this future and you can't even live now. You can't even enjoy now. And I know that planning is extremely important. I feel like I'm going to have so many episodes literally just dedicated to planning, especially for the ambitious, goal-oriented girls, and I know who are listening. I get why you're planning. I get the constant planning. I get the wanting to create your dream life. Like, I'm so in that world and I feel you, but we need to find sustainable ways to do this. And also, if you are picking and choosing, like planning this future or being present, and you jump between both, I want to explain how being here now, being in the present, is actually so beneficial for your future, and we can stop this like picking and choosing of either and have both. So the first thing I want to talk about is so relevant to my life right now, and it's so crazy because if I could jump back to a couple days ago when I tried to record this podcast and it wasn't working, and just like that resistance and how frustrated I felt, I was literally in the middle of going through a cycle of what I'm about to talk about right now. So it's perfect because I have a real life example right now to share with you. And if I didn't take the time to reflect and be here today to re-record this episode, I wouldn't have this insight. And it's just like giving me so much more trust in myself and my intuition. Like I knew in the moment when I was filming, like, this is not it. Like, hit stop. It's not happening today, But I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, especially since I didn't upload last week. So I wanted to come back and maybe upload like 2 times this week and just like make up for it. But again, I was forcing something that wasn't ready to come out. And in any type of creation, this is the worst thing that you can do. We live in a world where consistency is key and all these things, right? Which I do believe in. But when it comes to creating art, like speaking from your soul, creating from your soul, these things take time. And sometimes what I've noticed is when you get an idea or when you want to do something, you don't have all the pieces yet. You don't have all the information yet, but it's coming. And this has been so true to me so many times over, where I have an idea or I want to do something and it's just not the time, and I try to force it and I crash and burn, versus, listening to my intuition, knowing it's not the time, knowing not yet, backing off, waiting for more information to come, waiting for more clarity to come, and it always does. And things are then able to be created, brought to fruition at the time that they're meant to. Divine timing, you don't, there's nothing that you can like force that is going to come out the way that it's supposed to come out, and that's where like trust comes in. But went on a tangent there. Sorry. It's all relevant to right now, but still. So here's the thing. When you start planning, when you start asking for something different, planning for the future, wanting more for yourself, wanting different, wanting to be a different version of yourself, whatever, all these things. When you start planning for this future, you are going to start to be tested and triggered now. Because this is the thing. This is how I see it. The steps, like literally the steps, like a staircase of where you are now and where you want to go, aren't clear. The staircase isn't this clear staircase that you can see and it's just one step after another and you could like run up the staircase. The steps are being created as you go, and we're only human, and we have so many things that we need to process and understand and deal with and mess up and come back to a truth and just like live in these, we're cyclical beings. And so when you start planning for something different, whatever right now, physically in your life, the way that you are, your routine, your mindset, your belief system, whatever does not align with that future that you are creating, that you are planning for, has to go, has to be healed, has to be reprogrammed in order to get there. So for example, literally a couple days ago, with everything that I'm doing with this podcast, I really want to step into the most authentic version of myself and let that version of myself come through to be able to share my message, to be able to help people in this way. And I talked about this recently on my YouTube channel, but I have definitely struggled with needing outside validation and wanting people to like me and putting my worth and value in the hands of others and, putting myself out there and seeing what works and what didn't and molding myself to whatever society wanted, putting different masks on to make sure everybody liked me. This was a reality and a coping mechanism to survive over so many years of my life that now that I'm in a place that I want different, that I am planning this life for myself, who I want to be, how I want to show up, and being extremely authentic in myself, the tests and triggers that are coming up now for me, literally for me to help me get there, are all the masks that I've ever put on, all the ways I've ever conformed, all the parts of me that maybe still hold on to and need outside validation to feel good about myself, to feel worthy. I've constantly felt like I've needed to prove myself, like I have something to prove. And that was really starting to come out the last time I tried to sit down and record this. I felt myself trying to prove something in the way that I was speaking. Like it didn't feel authentic to me and who I am. I felt like I was wearing a mask. I felt like I was putting on a show. I didn't feel authentic. I felt like I was constantly looking at my notes versus when I do this, when I step into this very authentic version of me, whether it's in front of the camera, one-on-one, a lot of what comes out is from me, directly from me. Sure, my notes are directly from me too, but there's a difference between reading notes and genuinely speaking in a flow state and having things come to me. A lot of what I say too is channeled in the moment. And so it's like I have my notes so I know what this episode's about. I have a little bit of a plan, but my most authentic self and the times that I've created work that I'm so deeply proud of is when I let myself tap into this authentic flow state that I know that I can tap into, but it's still new to me. It's still this new idea of me, and there's certain things in my life right now that are holding me back from truly, fully stepping into that. And so that is like really loud to me right now. And what I've done in the past is not honor that, not look at that as like, okay, here are the tests that are coming up. Here's what I need to work through right now. Like, here's what's very evident to me right now. And kind of goes hand in hand with what I just journaled about, what I just planned for, what I just wrote out, what like these new affirmations that I'm saying about myself, these new beliefs I'm trying to have about myself. It's like the opposite. And so when you don't recognize that, you could just identify with the right now, with the struggle, with the test that's coming up, and it makes you feel so far from your goal, or it puts you back into this like, oh, I need to plan, I need to like be better than this, I need to like thinking that you could plan your way there better than you can actively work your way there by truly acknowledging where you are right now. This era of your life right now and constantly, but always right now, is so important in so many ways for the future that you're asking for. And again, with the steps being created as you go, going back to my personal example that I just went through, like I right now, I can look up this, I can view this staircase, I can view where I want to be and the version of me that I want to be and like this authentic me and what I'm doing, all these things. And I could look at where I am right now and be a victim to it, or I could look at it like, this is it, this is the test. This is the lesson at hand that I need to master right now to then be able to like create that step and like take the next step. And then it's up to that version of me to create and make the next step. But right now, this era, whatever it is you're asking for, you're probably going to feel the lack of it now. And it's really important to not identify, going back to like the first episode or last week's episode, 2 weeks ago episode, whatever. When you identify with this old version or this version right now and this version of lack, or really identifying with all the ways you don't have or you aren't where you want to be, you're missing the point. That's all happening for a reason. You're going to get that resistance now because that is the lesson right now. That's what you need to go through right now to get to where you're planning. You don't need to go back to the drawing board and like, why do I feel this way? Oh, maybe if I add 3 more workouts to my week and I add this, or maybe I start doing this, and you're constantly planning for this future and you're never here right now. You're missing all the lessons. Like it's being given to you right now. And for example, with this resistance, another personal example is in this constant planning that I was in for a while, constantly planning for this future and feeling like it was so far away and just like never tapping into right now, never living right now, just planning. When I actually sat with that, I noticed there was an underlying belief that I didn't deserve to have it right now, which kept me planning, chasing, waiting for this future when I'll eventually deserve it. And I was refusing to accept that what's actually happening here are issues of self-worth, but I'm masking it with being so ambitious and goal-oriented. I'm like, no, this is how I am, and I just need to plan, and I need to work for this future that I'll eventually have. It's like, I didn't think I could have it now. I didn't believe I deserved to have it now. And so planning for this like one day, this like eventually feeling, was in a way self-sabotage, but it was a coping mechanism. It was comfortable. It kept me small. It kept me where I am now. And it kept me distracted from dealing with the lesson at hand, with dealing with the step at hand. Like, you want this life that you're asking for, that you wrote in your journal, that you have pinned on your Pinterest, you want that life, you have to feel worthy of that. The feelings of unworthiness were so intense because they needed to be. They needed to come to the surface. Whatever you start asking for, anything that doesn't align with that vision, that goal, has to go. And you need to feel it to free it. I needed to realize how unworthy I felt, how deep rooted my issues of self-worth were, and I needed to work on that before I could ever feel like I deserved what I was planning for. So what are you planning for? What are you asking for that you're feeling or noticing the lack of now? Don't identify with that lack. Don't identify with this self. Just notice, do you want to be more independent? How right now are you feeling not independent at all? What's coming up? How does that feel? What triggers are coming up? Do you want more money? Are you planning to have more money? Are you planning to be financially free? How is that showing up right now? Are you having insane feelings of lack, feelings of fear towards money, or old beliefs towards money coming up? That's the lesson right now. Be here right now. Work through that right now. You want to notice what's coming up. You want to write it out. And honestly, identify, how have you recently maybe planned or asked for the opposite? It's usually so obvious. You know, again, with my first example of wanting to be and really step into this authentic version of myself when I haven't for years and years and years, and I have all these old beliefs of how I should be and how I should condemn and what mask I should put on around what person and all these things, and how can I be liked and how I can I get validation. Those can't live at the same time. So I cannot be that and ask to be this authentic version of myself. Like, all these things, all this gunk that has to go, all these old beliefs that have to go, if I really want what I'm asking for, they need to come to the surface right now. And if I, again, either identify with them and I'm like, this is where I am and I'm so far from my future, I'm missing the point. And if I notice them coming up but I don't do anything about it, I don't actually sit with it, I don't take the time to write it out and work through it, again, I'm missing the point. And that was this constant loop that I was personally going through that kept me planning for this desired future, never having it now. Again, never feeling worthy to have it now. Never honoring the era that I was in and truly taking that all in, seeing where I was, being extremely grateful for where I was. This is the thing, like, whether you realize it or not, because this is something that I struggle with a lot too. When you're asking for things, when you want a different future, and you're so focused on this future and you never spend time in the now, it is hard to be grateful for the now and realize that you were once in a place dreaming for this. Like, I can even remember years ago crying on my bathroom floor over an ex that wasn't even treating me right and feeling like I'll never deserve love, never deserve anything. So upset with life, just like wishing I could not be in that pain anymore. And I was in so much pain. And now I'm in the healthiest relationship of my life. Like, I can't even identify with that old version of me that was begging the universe, begging God for just like a moment of not feeling this pain. That pain is so gone. Like, it's just a part of my past, a memory I have. I've grown from it. And I'm in such a better place now. So little things like that, like where we are right now, we once dreamt of. So it's so important to acknowledge and appreciate the era that you're in right now. Be grateful for where you are, but also notice what's coming up right now. What's the lesson? And this gets fun, at least for me. Sitting down and feeling a lot of hard feelings, negative feelings, but the ability to ask for something else, plan for something else, have a vision of something else that you want to have or want to be, and be able to have all the things that do not align with that you are still holding on to come to the surface. That's a blessing. Stop this pity party. Stop this woe me. This is happening to me. This is all happening for you. You just asked for this life, and this that you're holding on to, this belief you have, it can't come with you. So right now, this is your focus. Stop focusing on this like future and keep planning or write a different plan or whatever it is. Be in this moment. Be in the now. Be in this era of your life and truly be present. Utilize this time. Notice your language. Do shadow work. Anything that's coming up. Me a couple days ago, feeling like I was putting on this mask or feeling like I had things to prove, not showing up as my authentic self on my own podcast. Shadow work for that looked like, why don't I feel like I can be myself? What do I feel like I have to prove? Where am I not validating myself? Why do I feel like my worth depends on what others think of me? Like, this is shadow work. Start to identify the current lessons that you are being given to move on to what you want, to move on to what you're planning for. Allow yourself to really create this next step. You notice the lesson, you work through it. The step is I literally picture it like Cinderella, like fucking pixie fairy dust. Like, the step is being created right in front of you. And the more you work on it, the more you solidify the step and you can actually step onto it. And you're one step closer versus just being on the step you are now, not seeing any of the steps going to where you want to go and just thinking how the hell am I supposed to get there? Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is just so crazy. This is another one of those things that I've heard over and over and over and over, and it hits more and more as I get older. But that is that time is an illusion. The future is now. I've heard this so many times, and I think the reason it's hard to fully get it and to fully step into it, even I have moments where I fall out of it, because we have this linear time that we all agree to, we're going to go to sleep tonight, we're going to wake up tomorrow, we have a dentist appointment next week, we booked this trip in 3 months. There's a constant false sense of there's more coming and that time is constantly moving. But this is a thing. And this is how I've really been able to solidify time is an illusion. The future is literally right now. How many times have you thought, once I'm 20 or once I'm 25 or once I'm 30 or on January 1st or this summer, I'm going to be this way, or it'll be like this, or it'll work then. Yeah, once I'm 30, once I'm this, once I'm that. And you get to that age. You get to 25 and you're nothing changed. I'm just still me. Life is still this. It's just a day. This is how we give so much of our power away to the future. The future. It's just a constant now. It's now right now. It'll be now tomorrow. It'll be now in 20 years. It's always right now. And so constantly desiring a future, planning for a future, you're going to plan until the day you die because you're never allowing yourself to feel it. It's this one day, but when that one day comes, it's still just now. and it's always been now. So it's like all this power and time and energy is going into this future, but the reality is you are in a constant state of experiencing yourself. You experienced yourself yesterday, you experience yourself now, experience yourself tomorrow. It's just like experiencing yourself all the time. And whatever future you want the feeling. So the only way to get that feeling in the future, it's not just going to come. You're not just going to wake up on January 1st and feel the feeling and, oh, today I'm suddenly going to start the business. Like it's just easier now. I knew if I waited till I was 30, it would just happen. I knew if I waited till I was 25, I would just wake up and be 25 and do it and it would feel easier. Like that is not true. Like we need to stop with this belief. We collectively do this. We collectively believe this. You need to get familiar with the feeling that you want to experience because you want to experience it now. And as I get older, I realize so much of this comes down to what we think we deserve. Like because we all have self-doubt and confidence issues and, feeling unworthy, self-worth issues, planning for the future, wanting something different in the future is a way to keep us small and keep us safe because we don't feel like we deserve it. We are ambitious, we have these goals, so we're going to write it on paper, we're going to plan for it, but we can't feel it now. Why can't you tap into the feeling now? That's all you really want, and you are allowed to do that whenever you want. If you're watching on YouTube and the camera angle changed, my battery just died and my camera overheated, so we had to take a little break, but we're back. Jumping right back into it, this is something, again, that I've known for a while, I've heard of for a while, but I didn't really learn until now. Like, I just dealt with the comfort of, having these plans. Living in this eventually allowed me to just, be small and stay comfortable but then complain about it. Complain that I didn't have this future now, that I didn't feel how I wanted to feel now. And, I'm excited for this year, this whatever, because then I'll finally be able to have it and tap into it. But I can't have it now, but I'm pissed that I don't have it now. Like it just was I was stuck in such a deep illusion of time. This illusion of that tomorrow is promised, that we can plan for the future, do not much about it now, but plan, and that we'll get there and eventually know what to do, have all the, deep rooted belief systems that are going to help us sustain it. Like, there's an older version of me, or I guess I mean younger, but, past version of me that was so oblivious to how much I needed to work through, going back to the first topic that we talked about today of just whatever you start to ask for, look at how that's showing up now and what you need to go through now. I was so oblivious to all of that, and I really thought I could have in that moment everything that I was asking for. I thought I was ready, like it could come now and I'm totally able to handle, these big goals and dreams, and I'd be able to totally sustain it, when there was no way I could. And I know that for a fact because even right now with the level of self-awareness that I have, I'm so aware of all the things that I still need to work through. I'm aware of how much I've grown and the skills that I have and the ways that I'm so capable, but I'm also extremely aware of my triggers and my limiting beliefs and the things that I'm working through. And now that I'm aware of them and I'm not afraid of them, I know where they came from. I don't blame myself. I don't blame anyone. It's just something that I've picked up, something that my brain has taken on as the truth, right? But I'm aware of it and I'm working through it. Right now, if I were to snap my fingers and get everything that I'm asking for, everything that I've ever wanted, I know I wouldn't be able to sustain it. I know it's not the time. I believe so deeply in divine timing. And the thing is about that is it's up to you. So embodying that future feeling now, letting yourself feel it now. And when it comes to this, I don't want to be light when I use the word embody. You have to embody that shit. This plan you have, this Pinterest board you have, this vision board you have, you may or may not feel this. you need to look at that vision board. You need to look at your journal. You need to look at your plans. You need to visualize your future and fully embody that feeling, and you need to sustain that feeling. When I do this, when I tap into the reality that I'm planning for this quote unquote future, when I embody it now, sure, maybe the external reality isn't exactly how I pictured it, right? You're not like in your dream car, you're not in your dream home, you don't have your dream wardrobe, whatever, dream career, whatever it is, relationship. But when you can fully embody the feeling that future is going to give you, when you feel that now, when I feel that now, I'm able to realize how fucking close it actually is. It takes away this like now versus future. Like, you don't see it as so far away. You feel it right now. You feel it in this moment. I've had so many transformative, deep meditations where I go through this and I'm literally crying. I have tears in my eyes as if I have it all now. And it's not to say I open my eyes and like poof, like magic, everything I've ever asked for is there, but the feeling is, which is all you really want. And also, tapping into this feeling, embodying the feeling, shows you the truth of what you want. Okay? Because when I was like living in lack, living in this expired version of myself, not working on myself, but having all these like big goals that I want to like make all this money and all these things. The things that I was planning for, the things I wanted, I thought would bring the feeling, right? I thought that would bring the feeling that I want. We all want a feeling. And, you know, for example, designer things. Then, you know, you start buying designer things, you start whatever. This is personal to my path. Designer things could be your thing that literally sparks joy, and there is nothing wrong with that. Personally, I thought by buying designer things, I was going to like get this feeling. And I didn't. I didn't at all. And that was like a moment of like, damn, so what? I'm just going to like keep making more money and keep spending on these designer things, and then eventually I'll get the feeling. Like, I was able to stop myself and realize like, whoa, I just went after something that I thought I wanted. It didn't even create the feeling that I'm actually after. And when I took the time to just actually embody the feeling of what I want, of the person I want to be, of the life I want to live, it was so clear what I wanted. Like, the path was a lot different than I had previously planned for, but it was so much more me. It was so much more real. And embodying that gives you like a sneak peek. It shows you what you're capable of. When I am having, because again, I fall out of these moments. I'm never talking from the other side. But when I have like a streak, a streak of true embodiment, and, you know, I'm actively working through my limiting beliefs. I'm actively working through the things that I want to let go of. I'm not falling victim to them. I'm not like getting trapped in the illusion of them. I'm like fully aware of them. I'm embodying who I want to be. I'm working through my shit. I'm feeling like future Sky that I'm planning and envisioning now, right now. Living in that vibration, I am the most productive, the most calm, the most nurturing of myself and others, the most loving, the most authentic. I'm so aware of how capable I am. I'm so motivated by all the things. It's not like this, oh, I gotta wake up at this time and do this workout and do all these things and like work on this and whatever, and it's like I have to do this to be future me. I embody the feeling of future me, and that's, you know, what she would do. Here's her plan. And I'm actually able to do it from a place of love. I'm able to do even more than, you know, this plan I have for future me. When I tap into future me, when I embody that feeling, it is insane what I'm capable of. And it feels so silly to ever think of, you know, all the times that I would think, oh, I can't do that, or, you know, getting in my own way. Like, when you embody the feeling and you actually realize how fucking capable you are in this life, it's the definition of getting out of your own way. And that's something that I did for a long time by constantly planning, yet not working through my issues, feeling unworthy, feeling like I couldn't have it now, so kept me in this loop of planning and never having it now. That was just me completely getting in my own way. I had the vision, I was clear on what I wanted, but never tapping into it, believing that I'll eventually feel it, like all these things, not dealing with the era that I was in now. This was all keeping me from this future plan, and I didn't even realize. I thought there was something wrong with the plan, I thought like, oh, time to like get back and write a better plan, or that didn't work, I wasn't able to do this plan, fuck, maybe let me try this, and like planning, thinking of the future, never being here now, never tapping into it now, never embodying now. I was stuck in a constant loop of getting in my own way. And here's the thing, I want to talk a little bit about quantum leaping. You've maybe felt a quantum leap in your life, maybe you haven't, maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. Again, I just want to like quickly talk about it because it's so fucking real and it makes the work worth it. And I know this episode, I'm giving you a lot of like homework, I'm making you reflect. It's a lot of self-awareness, it's a lot of working through things, but a quantum leap will change your life, and it's all because of you and the work you've done. So quantum leaping is basically like changing your inner or outer reality very quickly by detaching from old patterns and beliefs basically at once. So again, with like the honoring your era now, honoring where you are now, honoring all the bullshit, the lack, the feelings of low self-worth, anything and everything that's coming up now that honestly is like the opposite, or like has to do, is the polarity, is the duality of what you're asking for. It's because like you need to work through one to have the other. Taking the time to actually do this, to constantly pull yourself out of the illusion, detach yourself from identifying with where you are right now, looking at where you are right now as such a blessing, like holy fuck, thank you universe, I want money, thank you for showing me how many limiting beliefs I have, holy shit, like I gotta let go of this, I want to like create this career, create these things, I want to attract a loving partner, but wow, like I have such low levels of self-worth and self-love and I can't even show that to myself. Like thank you for showing me what I need to work on now to have what I want. Like thank you so much. When you work from that energy and you're able to actually do the work, sit through it, have something trigger you, have an unexpected bill come up or whatever, the person you like, the guy you like, the girl you like not reply to you and trigger abandonment, whatever, all these things, notice the trigger pop up right now and you work on it and you decide to have a new belief, you let go of your old patterns, you start stepping into this new version of yourself. You're not a victim to your life anymore. You're doing the work. You're doing the fucking work. You're gonna quantum leap. It has happened so many times that I'm going through like a quote unquote rough time. I'm like, this is a fucking rough time, man. Like it's so much shadow work. It's so much crying. It's so much releasing. It's so much like effort to reroute my brain and like come back to my truth or what I want to be my truth and like let go of this bullshit that I've let control me for so like I'll have eras like this where it's just like feels like the fucking trenches, but it's not, right? I'm grateful for it all. I'm thankful for it all. I'm working through it. A couple months go by and I just look around and I'm different within. My whole inner reality is completely different. How I move, how I speak, how I show up is different. How I view things is different. Something comes up that would have triggered me and it doesn't anymore. And I don't have to like bring myself back to it. Like I once said, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm triggered by this. Time to like work on the new beliefs and journal about this and fuck, this is so hard. No, something that you recognize would have triggered you just doesn't anymore. You've quantum leaped. Like you completely let go of that old belief. You completely detach from these old patterns that you used to do. Like you're not that person anymore in so many ways. Quantum leaping is almost like bringing it back to the steps being created right in front of you. Literally waking up one day and like 5 steps are there. And you're just like effortlessly walking up these steps. Like a little bit in like disbelief. Like how the fuck did I get here? What do you mean how the fuck did you get there? You did the work. You worked through it. And this is why it's all worth it. Like, this life is not happening to you. And the sooner you can get out of that mindset and notice everything that is coming up for you, and notice how you're triggering these things to come up for you. When you're planning for a future version of yourself or life that you want, again, what cannot come with you is going to show up right now. What needs to be released is going to show up right now. Honor this era. Do the work. Stay consistent with what you want, with what you're trying to bring in. Notice that your life is happening right now, and not in like your life is passing you by. Like, no, like life is just happening right now, and I'm not allowing myself to feel good. I'm not allowing myself to ever tap into this future feeling that I want because I don't feel worthy of it now, or like I feel like I can't have it now. There is such a dance between honoring where you are now, truly being in this era of your life, knowing that the future is now, knowing that life is happening right now, tapping into how you want to feel, embodying the feelings that you want to have, that you are bringing in. Doing all this now is helping your future in ways that you could never even plan for. Like being right here, right now, honoring this time, honoring the now, embodying the positive feelings that you're searching for, that you want to eventually come, allowing them to be here now. This is a recipe for quantum leaping into your desired life, into this life that you're constantly planning for. But anyways, guys, today's topic was one that I feel like I could go off on for hours. Therefore, I feel like I'm going to end it now and just thank you so much for listening and tuning in again. Please share this with someone that you think will resonate with this message. I feel like this is so relevant in my life right now, therefore it has to be for some of you. So I also know that if it's meant to find you, it will. But anyways, I hope you have an amazing rest of your Sunday, and I will see you in another episode. Bye!